Hey everybody, this is David at Barnyard Bees. It's been a while since we made a video, a couple weeks. And what we're doing today, we're pulling some honey. This 4 deep right here. I'm going through it. This is one of my better honey hives. And I've already went through these 2. Didn't find a queen. Found day-old eggs, so I know she's in there. And starting to go through this 3rd box up. This is actually the 3rd box up. And the 4th box we had added, and I didn't really fill it out any. It just, I put it there just to give them added room to help prevent swarming, to give them a little bit extra room and to stay one step ahead of them. So basically all I'm doing, I won't be able to do this one-handed too much. I can show you kind of this frame. This right here should be a lot of honey in it. This is going to be a mix right here, and it's got capped honey and some nectar. A lot of drones. This hive here, I was worried about swarming, but did find some eggs and cat brood in all stages, so looks like we're pretty good. Okay, this frame here is mostly capped brood, a little bit or capped honey, mostly capped honey, a little bit of open honey. This one's completely capped off here. Usually when it's still open like that, I'll pass it up and move on to the next frame. And this one may be a little bit of wild comb in this one, I'm afraid. A lot of these don't have wire foundation in them. I reuse a lot of the frames and put them in without foundation, let them draw out their own. And then I'll cut all this as cut comb. And this is solid heavy honey right here, 100% honey. So what I'll do, I'm gonna put it on pause, and then I'm gonna brush off the bees, and I'll show you where we put them. Got them brushed off. I'll carry this up to the truck. It's hot out here. And okay, so I just carry it to the truck like so. I'll scoot it in there and close it, and I'll go through that hive frame by frame, pulling out a little bit. I'm not using an extractor today. I'm going to show you an easy way, if you don't have an extractor, how you can get your honey out. I'm gonna run them through a colander. I'm not gonna filter it. I'm basically gonna cut all these right here. Don't have any wire foundation, and even if they do, you can still cut around it. I done that a few weeks ago when I was pulling out some honey. But it's very simple. You cut it down into a colander. Cut what comb you want to keep to put in your jars, and then the rest of it you can just hand squeeze it. You know, of course, wash your hands and make sure everything's good and sterile, and hand squeeze it. Let it drain down in that colander, and then you can pour it straight into the jar from there. You know, like a wire screen. I'll show you here in a second. We'll put it all in the video. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do, you see this frame here, it's got a lot of drone comb right here that they would have filled in with honey during the flow. The flow has slowed down quite a bit to almost pretty low now, you know, especially we had so much rain. We're in the early part of June. And so all I'm going to do is basically, like I said, most of these here don't have any wire in them anyway. So it's a good way to not have to use an extractor. And you just simply just cut it out. I won't be able to do this one-handed. I could almost, it's almost that easy. And if you want to save you some for cut comb, just go ahead and cut you out some squares. Now you can, it's just as easy as this. Go cut the whole thing out. You can see where I made a mess here a little while ago with my smoker and the pine shavings, the pine. Had my smoker fired up. But I took one little light sting and it just barely got me, and I think it's just where I actually touched up against the frame, so had nothing on but a light veil. You don't have to take that off 100%. If you actually drop that back down in the hive in between two full drawed out frames, it'll actually give them something to work on to start with. I always like doing that. You can set this out, see the bee already coming around. So I'm gonna do every frame like that. I'm gonna carry it in, I'm gonna cut out what little squares I want for cut comb. The rest of it I'll just squeeze by hand into the screen. I'll share that here in a little bit. And it's just simple as that. And you put it in the jar. I screen it, don't filter it. It's best for overall health, enzymes, and anything that's any contaminants at all that's in the honey will float to the top, and you can skim it off the top of the jar. But let's get inside and get it going. Okay, I got my honey all and wax and everything cut off the frame, and got a pretty big bowl here. And all I'm doing, I have a colander on this side, and simply, wash your hands, make sure your hands are clean. If you don't feel like doing this with your hands, you can use a spatula if you think this is too dirty. But wash your hands. Just like making dough, people use their hands for different things. So you simply just squeeze that wax out like that, and you go through that whole container like that. This is not using an extractor. If you don't have an extractor, this is something you can do. And then once I run it through this colander, then I'll run the honey itself through a screen, like a colander screen, to finish straining out the rest of it. Okay, what I'm doing now, I've already taken, this is what I'm saving for the cut comb. It was the best looking, the lightest color. It looked good. I'm going to put some of this down into the jar with some honey. So what we did, we smashed the comb by hand. Now, like I said, you don't have to do it like I did it. This is for my personal use, so I don't care if I use my hands or not. This is for family. You can also smash it into with a potato smasher, hand potato smasher. Put it in a container, smash it, pour it down in here into your colander, and then that pre-filters it, kind of like a pre-filter. And then the last filter, you can see how it's catching that right there. And I'll do just a little scoop here, because it kind of takes two hands to do this, because when you dip down in there, you get kind of a, and I use my other finger to kind of push that little bit off, so then when I turn in like that, it doesn't get down into the container without screening it. So that's about it. So then you can see the honey. See, the honey that we always have is always a real light colored honey. This is a tad darker than the last that we pulled. The later you get in the year, the darker it's going to get. The early flowers, the wildflowers, seem to be, they just seem to be a lot lighter. And since then, the blueberries bloomed, so they pulled nectar from the blueberries, corn out of the garden. I mean, just everyone's garden, different flowers. So it all varies. It tastes a little bit different. It's really good. And now, I don't worry too much about putting my frames up and putting paramoth on them to keep the moths away. I basically, when I do honey like this, I'll smash that down just like you see out there, cut it off. I'll let the bees clean it up, And I'll put those frames back down in, and there's no wax on them, so no wax moths are going to get them. And I'll put them back down into the colonies if they want to draw it out. If they don't draw it out, I'll use it next year. And since it don't, is not drawed out, as long as you keep it out of the weather, it does pretty good. And you can use it next year. I don't really ever use an extractor. Not saying there's anything wrong with them, but it takes out, you don't have to buy a wired foundation. You can just use, start with starter strips. It's good to start with full foundation until you get enough full drawn combs where you can use partial combs or starter strips. And then once you get in that cycle, you can just, this didn't take long. And I'll probably get, I don't know, maybe about 40 pints total, because this was about half of it. And I got some more out there in the truck that I'm going to smash down. And maybe about 2 hours total of work. Not getting an extractor out, not doing any of that. But try it, especially if you just have a few hives and you don't have an extractor. Works very well. That's about it. Just a little tip from Barnyard Bees. Don't forget, click on the little bell, like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Barnyard Bees.